Here's how to make a girl regret losing you, and it's a little counterintuitive, so let me explain. If a woman pulls away or she breaks up with you, one of the things that's almost like a reflex for us to do is try to show her how much we cared about her and try to say things that'll change her mind. And we do this because we're hoping that it makes her regret pulling away. But in reality, it normally has the opposite effect, and it makes her more secure, more firm in her decision to walk away, meaning it makes you less attractive. And also it tells her that you're there waiting if she changes her mind. And as guys, it's intuitive to think she needs to know I'm here, right? So she doesn't forget about me. But when she knows that you're there waiting, she'll almost never change her mind. In this video, I'll explain the #1 thing you can do to make a girl regret losing you and give you the best possible shot at a second chance with her down the line. Hi, I'm Bobby Rio, and I remember years ago when one of my ex-girlfriends was breaking up with me, I was saying anything I could to try to remind her of our good times, how she won't find someone who loves her like I do, who treats her like I do. And I was blatant about it. I was pointing out the vacations that we went on, all the memories that we shared. When that wasn't working, which it wasn't, I switched to telling her how I was gonna find someone else, and I was trying to manufacture this feeling of jealousy in her in that way. And looking back, I now realize that I was just pushing her away. In hindsight, that was a good thing. I moved on to much better relationships. Now, this here is pretty key, because that's the mindset that makes a woman regret it. The attitude of, I'll be fine, I'll find someone better. And I'll tell you this, you will be fine. As long as you don't throw the towel in and give up on women, as long as you're willing to acknowledge that you might have made some mistakes with her, that there are ways that you can improve yourself or make yourself more attractive. A lot of guys have trouble admitting that they made some mistakes in a relationship or with a specific girl. I love when I realize that I made a mistake, because it means next time I can avoid it. It means that it wasn't me, it was a mistake that I made. And there's always a next time. So let's get back to making her regret her decision to pull away from you. There is a quote from George Herbert. He was a 16th century poet that I think is the epitome of the mindset, right? And what the quote says is, living well is the best revenge. The way you make a woman regret losing you is to simply be 100% cool with it and live well. Now here is the key. Don't live well as an attempt to make her regret losing you, because women are very socially intuitive. She will pick it up. When she talks to you, your attitude and the way that you're communicating with her will signal that you're trying to make her regret her decision. Same thing with social media posts. I see guys do this all the time, where if you're posting stuff on Instagram hoping to make her jealous or to show her how good you're doing without her, she'll see through it. And anytime that we feel someone is trying to emotionally manipulate us, we resist, and it has the opposite effect. It's gotta feel real to her, which means it has to be real. So when she ends things and then sees that you're okay, that you moved on, that you actually seem just as happy and you're already back in the game, your value goes way up in her eyes, because chances are the next guy that she's dating, he's not gonna be the one. So if she looks over and you're there and you're living good and you're looking good, that's gonna make her think, maybe I made a huge mistake. But here's one of the most important elements. As I mentioned a little bit earlier, you cannot come across as a potential backup plan. What do I mean by being her backup plan? I mean that if she senses that you're right there waiting for her, that you're there if she changes her mind, she'll never look at you as the guy that'll be her main man ever again. Sure, when she feels hurt by another guy or she needs some validation, she might hit you up. You might hang out with her once or twice, but she'll always pull away again. No self-respecting, attractive man will ever settle to be a woman's backup plan. Does this mean that you need to cut her out of your life completely? Sometimes. It all depends on your frame of mind. I see this with clients all the time. If you have very little emotional control, if you're in what we call emotional quicksand, where she's pretty much all you're thinking about, right? You're just analyzing everything. You're just in quicksand trying to claw your way up to the surface. When you're in that state, in those cases, it's almost always best to do a blackout. Sometimes this is called no contact, right? The no contact rule. It means you cut off and avoid contact with her the best that you can. But here's the key with this. You can't be obvious about it. Here's what I mean. When, let's say she calls you, what's the best way to handle this? Do you, A, answer the call and try to re-spark things? Usually that won't work, if I'm being honest, especially if you're in emotional quicksand, because you're not going to be your attractive self. How about option B? Just ignore your calls. Now, this is going to be really hard for a lot of guys, and when you do that, you're showing her that you're so upset, you're so butthurt, that you can't even answer the phone. What does that tell a woman? It tells her that she still has control over you. So what's option C? What is the right way to handle this? Well, let me give you 2 potential ways to do this that I think are a lot better. First off, if she calls you, pick up the phone, talk to her for about a minute, be polite, but sort of indifferent. After a minute, say, hey, I gotta take care of something real quick. Can I call you back in a few? Then just don't call her back. Go on with your day and have the satisfaction of knowing that she's probably waiting for you to call, and then she's wondering, what happened? Why didn't he call me back? At the very least, you're in the center of her mind in a positive way. You left on a high note. That's much better than getting on the phone and her realizing after 2 minutes that you're still desperate to get back with her, and then her having to end the conversation. What about if she texts you? Here's what I usually recommend to clients in this situation. Let's say she texts you during the day. Wait till right before you go to bed and send a text that says, hey, just saw this, I'll hit you up tomorrow. And then don't hit her up. I know some guys will say that this is just playing games. Other guys are gonna be scared, oh, what if I lost my chance? Well, here's the thing, there's no way around this in the beginning. Eventually, you really won't care when she calls or texts, but initially, you have to fake it a bit. One of the things that I always tell guys is you must demonstrate a willingness to walk away. There is power in walking away. There is power in a woman legitimately feeling like she's losing you for good. If you aren't able to demonstrate that you're willing to walk away, you'll always be the backup plan. And even if she gives you another shot, like I said, you'll never have any power in the relationship. You'll always feel like you're the one chasing her. Now, real quick, if you often find yourself in the position of being the guy chasing the girl, especially when you like her, where you never have that power, you always feel like the girl has the upper hand in the relationship, I highly recommend taking a short 7-question quiz that I have. I put it below because answering these questions not only reveal any mistakes that you might be making, but also reveal what women secretly want, but they won't say. A lot of guys are shocked how bad they do at this quiz. But like I said earlier, identifying your mistakes is the first step to becoming more attractive with her. Okay, so back to making her regret losing you. Again, eliminate contact with her. Don't necessarily ignore her if she reaches out, but don't try to keep the conversation going. Don't try to use any contact on her part as an opportunity to invite her to hang out again. Let her feel like she's really losing you and that you're okay with it. Now, here's the hard part. Be okay with it. I'm gonna tell you this with all sincerity. Every time things ended with a girl and I felt like she was the one and I would never find another girl like her, guess what? In every case, I found someone even better. And in every case, a time came where I was given another opportunity with the girl who left me every single time. In fact, I often tell this story of the girl who led to the scrambler technique that I teach. I really thought that I would never see her again, and she hits me up almost a year later out of the blue saying she missed me. I got the I miss you text. I met up with her. She basically told me how she has this connection to me and how much she missed me. And I passed up on it. Because when you get a little distance from a situation, very often you realize it wasn't her that was special. It was your ego. It was your attachment to her. It was the fear of losing her. It wasn't actually her that you wanted. You just didn't want to lose her. So here's the #1 way to make her regret losing you. And it's even something you can say to a girl if she's ending things. If she's ending things, say, sure, okay, and shrug it off like you're okay with it. And be okay with it. The attitude you want to convey is choose, don't need. What I mean by that is, you choose to be with her, but you don't need to be with her. When you say, sure, all right, it's like you were choosing to be there. You weren't emotionally invested and attached, and you're not gonna lose your mind and go crazy that she's not around anymore. You were choosing her, which is a very attractive trait. Women wanna be with a guy who chooses to be with them, not a guy who needs to be with them. So when she tells you that she's ending things with you and you just let it kind of casually roll off of you, she goes, oh, okay, that's weird. He's cool with this? And when you seem kind of cool with it, when you seem cool with the breakup, she's caught off guard. That sense of validation disappears. Maybe you didn't like her that much after all. Maybe you weren't so needy and over-invested or over-interested after all, and she starts wondering, like I said earlier, did I make a mistake? All of a sudden, she has that fear of loss, right? She thinks, this guy, maybe he's cooler than I thought, and I might really lose this guy now. You leave her doubting herself, and this elicits a positive memory of you in her mind as she's leaving, which opens up the opportunity for you to contact her again in the future. For this to work though, you have to be willing to walk away and potentially never see her again. You very well may get her back with some patience, but that needs to be a pleasant surprise that you want, not a necessity that you desperately need. If you're not okay with walking away, she will sense it. So in that moment, will yourself to go and find opportunities with women who appreciate you more, who are interested. You're still better off doing that than trying to convince her, because that's not gonna work. One of the things I often tell clients who come to me with the hope of getting their ex-girlfriend back, I say, let's build up your confidence with other women. Let's remember how to flirt, how to create attraction, and how to make a girl feel chemistry with you again. Because if you do wind up with the girl you wanted, you need that anyway. And the more confident you are with other girls that you'll be okay without her, the more that seeps through and makes you attractive. The more excited you are at the prospect of being with a new woman, the more that comes across naturally. Now, as I mentioned earlier, if you've been out of the game, I've got a short 7-question quiz that identifies any attraction blocks that might be holding you back. It'll even pinpoint the most likely reason a girl pulled away from you in the past, or maybe a girl is pulling away from you right now. You can take the quiz at the link below. And whenever you start thinking how you want to settle the score with a girl who broke your heart, just remember, living well is the best revenge. Leave me a comment, let me know what you think, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future videos.